England, England, England. Yes, we're talking about England. The Euros are right round the corner. I am so excited. But today we're going to be talking about Ben White. Yes, I think we've got to talk about it. I think it's the elephant in the room that a lot of the media touched on briefly, but it's kind of just been forgotten about. Ben White, for me, has to play for England. Now, I know there has been some troubles. There's been some rumours. We've seen some stories. We kind of don't really understand. But for me, if Gareth Southgate really wants to get this trophy and really wants to think about England in the best situation, you have got to make up and resolve the issues with Ben White. We need him in the squad. Ben White, for me, right now, is England's best right back. Yes, you heard me say this. I genuinely believe it. Now, I think I'm going to give you my reasoning and we're going to dive into it and talk about the other right backs for England. But right now, Ben White on form and throughout the season, I think Ben White has been the best right back in the country, in the Premier League. Genuinely. Now you look at it as a whole and why I think Ben White is so versatile and so vital if England want to win a trophy. Because you think about it, he's been playing right back. And what I like about him this season is kind of the question marks we had from last season. Can he bomb on forward? Can he do that attacking work? We've seen him this season chip in with so many assists. It's been absolutely vital for Arsenal, for everything for them going forward. You can see, you've seen him so many times bombing on forward, talking overlaps for Saka. We've seen him cut inside. We've seen him drive at defences. And that was the kind of question mark we had for him last season. Can he compare to those other fullbacks we're talking about? The likes of Kieran Trippier going forward. Well, Ben White has delivered that this season, but then not only that, defensively one-on-one we know exactly what you're going to get because of him originally being a centre-back. You know defensively he's there, he's got it all up there. He's defensively so strong, especially one-on-one. As I said, positionally he's so aware. But what I also really like about him, when that ball goes over to the other side, he can kind of then tuck in. He can play as an extra centre-back, which again is another kind of layer to him as a player, which would help England. But then we've got so many other layers we can talk about. Not only can he tuck in and play as an extra centre-back, at the times at Leeds, he played as a holding midfielder. We also saw this at Brighton, and we've seen it this season occasionally at Arsenal. He can kind of tuck in and invert into that kind of other role when Zinchenko hasn't been doing the same. You've seen Ben White occasionally tuck in and operate in that centre midfield role. So you look at it, he's got aspects of all the players. You've got Kyle Walker for the defensive ability. You've got Trent for the fact that he can tuck in and play as a centre mid. And the Kyle Walker again, as he can play as another centre back. Not only that, then he can offer then what Trent does going forward. Not obviously to the exact standard, but I think as a complete player, Ben White is the perfect right back for England. As I said, he can play left back, he can play centre back, he can play right back, he can play, if he needs to, he can kind of go into the midfield. And I think that's what's massive for England. I think we've spoken about it and we've kind of had question marks for so many years. We're talking about players like Kyle Walker. Don't get me wrong, I think Kyle Walker's had a brilliant season, but for me, if you're picking the best player currently, it's got to be Ben White. You kind of can then compare it to Trent. Trent was always my number one until I've seen how well Ben White has done this season. He's kind of really proved me and a lot of haters wrong. We kind of look at it as a whole. Trent going forward, we used to say was the best. Now Ben White is competing, not obviously up to his level, but then defensively, he's so much stronger. So kind of as a balance, he gives you the best of both worlds. And in tournament football, we can't obviously go out all out attack. We've got to kind of think a bit more of a balance. And I think Ben White would provide that balance massively for England. Now, I know, and there's a lot of people saying, oh, we can never allow him to play for England again. He cannot play for England with the way he kind of treated it. We don't know anything. We don't really know what's going on. It was kind of nipped in the bud a bit. Like Southgate didn't really talk about it. Said, oh, the door's always open. Well, sort it out. Get him on that plane because he has to be on that plane. Like, we talk about the best players currently, and he is up there in form with your likes of Foden's, your likes of Saka. We're talking Ben White is one of the best in the world in his position currently. He's been absolutely integral to Arsenal having an unreal season. And we look at how defensively strong they've been. Surely you'd want to take one of their defenders because of how defensively strong he's been, especially when you compare him to players like Trippier who haven't had the best of seasons. Trent has had a very good season, don't get me wrong. And Southgate doesn't really like him. I think the reason why Southgate doesn't like him is because of that balance that I speak about, where sometimes you need that defensive strength, that bit of grit in a tournament football. You can't go all out attack. We've seen it in recent years, especially with Portugal in the last tournament when they were playing Guerreiro and Cancelo on either side, and you can't just bomb on forward. You can't have every single player because then it leaves your centre-backs to just get absolutely pelted and peppered, and you cannot allow Harry Maguire, because he will play Harry Maguire, let's be honest. You can't just leave Harry Maguire on his own. So that's why I'm thinking Ben White is the perfect solution. He does absolutely everything. As I've said, the most complete defender, and I think he would be perfect in that back four. As I said, can bomb on forward, can tuck inside, can play narrow, can play wide, can do everything that you need from a right back. So even if he doesn't start, he needs to be in the squad because he just offers you something different. And in a game where you say, like, if you're talking, obviously France, Kyle Walker will have Mbappe pocketed, but then Ben White could also probably do that. We talk about Ben White and how integral he's been this season. He's been absolutely unreal throughout the season in a really good campaign for Arsenal. So I think he's got to be on the plane. He's got to be in the squad. And for me, he should be starting. But we just need Southgate to sort out, because what I don't like is, I don't like the fact that he's kind of just been scapegoated and everyone just pinned it on him instantly. Why isn't he playing? Yes, we don't know, but surely we need to sort it out. We want this we speak about the togetherness in the camp and things. Get Ben White back in there. Someone put an arm around him, because you've seen how good he is for Arsenal. Even in like the corners and things like that from set pieces, we've seen how much of a nuisance he's been this season. And little things like that can be huge for England. We've seen how good he's been for Arsenal, and I just think we've got to get him in that squad personally. That is my little take. I would like to see Ben White back in an England shirt. We need to make it happen. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. You may think I'm going crazy, but I'd love to hear what everyone else is thinking. But I think currently he needs to be there. He needs to be at least just knocking on the door. We need to see him back in the fold. I want to see him, because he's still not that old, and I think for the future he's kind of the perfect successor to Kyle Walker, the most alike player to Kyle Walker. And we've seen how good Kyle Walker has been in recent years. Kyle Walker has been, for probably the last decade, one of the best fullbacks on the planet. But kind of, you've seen that slight drop off, and we're seeing a little bit. He's not as good as he once was, let's be honest, and that's why I don't think he's played a lot this season, but he's not having the minutes that he used to have, and we've seen kind of a little bit of a drop off from his kind of form, and a lot of injuries, and then there's been times where Akanji's had to play instead of him, and I know that's injuries and that's the thing. You can't pinpoint on that, but you kind of got to then think, okay, we need to find his successor, and he quite clearly doesn't like Trent because of his defensive instabilities. So Ben White for me is the perfect example. Same with Kieran Trippier. You look at Kieran Trippier, yes, he's been a great servant for England, a really good player, a leader, can play on the left-hand side, can play on the right-hand side. He was integral in that back five for England back in 2018, and kind of has been really good. But again, the players getting older. We need to start thinking about the future. This is the perfect time to kind of bleed these players in, and kind of, this is our new golden era. This is our new era where we could really win something. And I don't like the thought of potentially missing out on a trophy and missing out on one of the best right backs currently on the planet in Europe, just because of a falling out. I know, obviously, as I said, we don't know the full ins and outs, but sometimes in these kind of situations, it's like life. Is it worth just kind of nip it in the bud, being adults, sorting it out, and getting this guy back in the England setup? Because I think he's just been absolutely electric this season for Arsenal, and I think he'll be absolutely electric for England. But as I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. And a lot of people are very, very passionate about this. A lot of people never want to see him again. We don't know what's happened, so let's just give him the benefit of the doubt here. Southgate, Ben White, this is me calling you both out and just saying, sort out your differences so we can get Ben White back in the England setup. Because for me, as I said, we need him right this very second on that plane to get us that Euros, because I know a lot of people know my opinions on Southgate, but I think we're going to win this Euros, because the more and more I think about it, the more I look at it, I'm excited, and this is what I'm just buzzing, and that's the thing. We're all excited, and we want to see the best players playing for England in that England shirt. 3 lines on the shirt. Please, Southgate, listen to me and go make up with Ben White. But thank you for watching. As I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Please like the video. Please subscribe. As I said, daily videos coming non-stop your way. Thank you for watching. Bucket Sam over and out. Thank you. Peace.